Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
We've got high school basketball to run down from the weekend, the holiday, got Hogs coaching carousel rumors, and the dominoes that are going to fall as coaches begin to move around the country. NFL, looking at the playoff scenarios going on there, and much more on today's show.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Welcome, everybody. We hope you enjoyed your holiday. Thanksgiving has put a couple pounds on all of us. Thank you for joining us on the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton back here in studio. We hope you had a safe and sound holiday, and we're glad to be bringing you the latest in local sports, as well as all the events and rumors and stuff that's going on in the coaching search with the Hogs. Man, there's just a lot going on, Weldon. We're obviously going to do a lot of local stuff today, but we've got some interesting things to look at, as it looks like Arkansas is going to need to find its coach within the next 14 days. They're going to get passed up.
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year, Mark. We've looked at this coaching search going back from April, and now the season is over. Of course, Arkansas lost a tight one to LSU. Certainly good effort, good way for those seniors to go out as they came up just short. But now, Mark, the season's over. It's time for Arkansas to find a coach. We know Jeff Long let the players know that something would happen within 10 to 14 days as far as hiring a coach. The big part about that is that brings a lot of people back into play. We're no longer operating on that time frame of something happening right after the LSU game, either on Sunday or today, because that would eliminate several coaches who are still active. So now that we have a 10 to 14-day window, everybody's back in play. Let the rumors continue.
Yeah, we've got different coaching rumors that we're hearing, different names that have come up. I think a lot of these, to be fair, are just names thrown at the wall, hoping one of them sticks.
Right.
And then there's people, people in the know who say, such and such is being contacted, and such looks to be the favorite at this point. So we'll give you all those names here in just a little bit. We've asked today's Honda of Russellville poll question at Facebook on our Sports Blitz page, facebook.com/sportsblitz. The Honda of Russellville poll question. We're looking at the drawbacks today, which we'll do a little bit of. We don't want to look at the negative too much, but we want to look at, if we're looking at coaches and who we think will do a good job at Arkansas, we also have to look at the other side, and it's all sunshine and roses until they get here and lose a game. Yeah. And then we find out what their drawbacks are, what the shortcomings to these coaches are. So we're going to look at the drawbacks to every coach rumored to be Arkansas's choice today on the show. So what negatives do you see in each candidate? And, well, this pretty much sums up the Arkansas fan, and this is a savvy fan here that puts this, and where they are as far as his coaching search, because you hear every name. I mean, right. You really do hear every name. Jerry Crow says the drawback to the coach that he's heard is that Vince Lombardi's dead. To me, that just encapsulates all the stuff we've heard. I've heard Paul Bear Bryant is coming back, and his ghost is going to come. That kind of thing. The funny people who are a little more savvy will understand that. But I mean, we've heard literally any level coach that you can think of is going to come to Arkansas and be the next guy.
I mean, yeah, the spectrum is huge, and I think it's important for us to have this type of conversation because no coach is perfect. There are drawbacks to every single person who has been mentioned. And I always think, Mark, when you have a conversation, it doesn't have to be a coaching search, but about anything, anytime there is a runaway train in favor of a person or a decision, that always concerns me. I always like a little healthy, not necessarily debate, but at least conversation. Gary Patterson. What's the issue with Gary Patterson? Any drawbacks to hiring him? What about Kirby Smart? What about Mike Gundy? All of these coaches who have been mentioned, a lot of things going for them, but it's not all sunshine and roses. So I think it's important to have that conversation as to what may be some drawbacks to each one.
Well, while we've got that, we also have to look at the coaching carousel that's going to happen. This could be the greatest, and I say greatest, it could be the most crazy
right.
Coaching carousel ever this year, as you see a coach leave to go one place, well, then that school's open, and then somebody's got to leave to go there, and then it's just a giant, a big puzzle that has to, things have to fit in. You have to see where people are coming from, where they're going to go, and we'll look at that here in just a little bit, because there are several coaches who have or will trade places and move around, and that's going to be very interesting. We'll see how that goes. We'll look at the BCS. Notre Dame was able to withstand the USC Trojans and their backup quarterback and win to stay number one in the BCS and have a chance to go play for a national championship. Now they're going to get an SEC team.
They are. I mean, Lane Kiffin did everything he could do to help Notre Dame get the job done. I mean, that last sequence, I got to go back to it because I thought it was just embarrassing. The way Lane Kiffin lined up, pounded the ball in the middle with one tailback, tight splits, clock management. He could have scored with 5 minutes to go on the clock, gave his defense a chance. He didn't score. Should have kicked a field goal on 4th down because you needed it anyway. He didn't do that. Lane Kiffin, as far as I'm concerned, coaches Notre Dame just as much as Brian Kelly does because he helped him out. But you're right, Mark. They are going to get an SEC team, and then this is it for Notre Dame. Everybody's questioned them. They've questioned their athleticism, their ability to match up with an Alabama or Georgia, whoever they see, and they're going to get their chance to show what they can do. I think it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to break it down.
Yeah, we heard all the different numbers, and I'm sure that things will change from between now and then, but we've heard the betting line goes to about 10 points
Around
for any
10.
SEC team over Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame's number one in the country. They're going to get either Alabama or Georgia, it appears, unless something just crazy happens. I think that those two. I don't see anything else possible.
Florida, they had a chance if Notre Dame had lost, but that chance is over.
If Notre Dame had lost, you'd seen an all-SEC championship game. I mean, you'd almost have to because it'd either be Alabama or Georgia, and then Florida.
Yeah, I mean, because a team like Kansas State couldn't jump. There may be a little conversation about Oregon, but I don't think they could have jumped back in either.
So we'll look at all that here in just a minute. That's fascinating. And then Week 12, the NFL season, almost in the books. You've got Carolina, Philadelphia tonight on Monday Night Football, but we've got some playoff races shaping up. You've got MVP discussions, things that we'll need to get to here in just a little bit. And I can't wait for the month of November to be gone. Movember with those mustaches. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, you just do not need to wear that pedophile mustache on national
McCarthy,
TV.
He's the one that got me.
That thing is horrible. I mean, it's like you got an inchworm on your chin. It's awful, or on your nose. It's nasty on your mouth.
And it's funny how just a little upper lip hair can just change the whole complexion of a person. I didn't even recognize Mike McCarthy last night. I always know my coaches. I keep up with them. I was like, who is this coaching the Packers?
Yeah, well, a lot of people were wondering who was actually playing for the Packers last night. They got a beat down last night by the New York Giants, 38-10. Let's start with local sports, though, real quickly. Thank you to the Rack Furniture Warehouse, our local sports sponsor. We got basketball in full swing. We talked last week about how the football season ended for all the local teams. They made their way to the playoffs. A couple of them even won home playoff games to start the playoffs, but then they moved on to the second round, and everybody fell, some more heartbreaking than others, in the football playoffs in the second round. But now it's basketball season, and we've got local teams doing fairly well. We've got Pottsville at 3-0, Dardanelle at 2-0, Russellville at 1-0, and Clarksville played in the Rumble on the Ridge tournament, one of the best in the region, finished 1-2 this weekend. So we'll look at those teams real quickly. Pottsville Apaches 3-0. They got one game in Weldon with their football players. They practiced on Saturday and they practiced on Sunday with their football guys. They're trying to get everybody acclimated and reacclimated, get them in the best conditioning that they can. Pottsville's looking to go to the state tournament in basketball this year.
They really are, Mark, and they really laid a good foundation last year. Of course, you remember them going through the 4A conference. Had trouble with Clarksville, but who didn't in that 4A4 last year? They're older. They're more mature this year. We're going to get to see what they can do. I think they take a step forward. And you're right about the football guys. Conditioning is huge. Conditioning, rhythm on the jump shot. Obviously, the flow of playing football and basketball are two different things, but I think Pottsville will get get it. And as you said, Mark, normally they play a little teaser conference game in December, unlike the bigger schools, so they'll have to be ready early. Russellville, actually, they lost to Springdale a few days ago, so they're now 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, they went up there and lost 56-47. Have to get the details from some of the guys as far as what happened and how things are looking, but they'll take the floor next December 6th against Sheridan. That game will be on the road as well.
Man, that's tough that they're playing such. It's taking such a
Spaced
long time.
out, yeah.
Between games, you would hope that they would find a game or some sort of scrimmage or something between now and then. That's a long time.
And maybe they have. I've got sort of the master schedule. They may have found a little scrimmage or game somewhere, and maybe part of it has to do with the holiday break. Because I'm looking now, they'll get 5 days off and take on Bryan on the 11th, and then Lake Hamilton on the 14th. So a little more rhythm. But you're right, the schedule is spaced out for the Cyclones.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't put those tournaments on the schedule, so we'll have to look. I know that Clarksville's playing their first home game is December 11th. Playing all these games on the road. I think they'll probably have 10 or 12 games in them before they actually make it to the home floor. So the Panthers 1-2. We need to look real quickly at Pottsville before I move on. The 3-0, they won 43-35 over Bauxite in the first game with the football players. Michael Perry stepped in, 21 points for the Apaches to lead them in his first game. Just didn't miss a beat. And then Travis Cole had 10 points for the Pottsville Apaches as they beat the Bauxite Miners. Clarksville did go 1-2 this weekend in the Rumble on the Ridge. First round led Jonesboro after the first quarter, after the second quarter, after the third quarter, and fell in heartbreaking fashion to the Jonesboro Hurricanes in the first round of. It was the featured game of the week, featured game of the first round of the Rumble on the Ridge tournament in Forest City. The Jonesboro is one of the best teams in the state overall in the 6A classification. So Clarksville doesn't necessarily want to hang their heads, but they got out to a big lead, thought they were going to be all right, just weren't able to hold on at the end as Jonesboro came for them. A lot of good things to say about both of those teams. Clarksville doesn't necessarily need to hold their heads down after playing one of the best teams in the state that well.
Right. I mean, last time I checked, they don't have an overall state tournament. Last time I checked, Fayetteville, Jonesboro, they're not in the 5A. Basically, that's to say that Clarksville will not have to deal with them. We know that the best way to attack Clarksville is obviously have good guard play, but have some size as well. There's some 6'5", 6'6" guys in some of these 5A areas with these teams, but nothing that really scares Clarksville. So when you look at them going back down to 5A competition, no Jonesboro, no Fayetteville, I still think people are going to have a hard time beating the Clarksville Panthers.
It's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tougher for Clarksville this year. You're playing Alma, who's always good. They're always physical and very well coached. And then you're also playing against Harrison, who's always seems to have some Amazon men that play on their team. They always have 6'6" guards and stuff for Harrison. So we'll see how that matches up. But like you said, Jonesboro was able to outguard Clarksville. Fayetteville was able to just outsize them. Of course, in the second game they played against Gadsden City, Alabama, who had a 7-footer and a 6'8" power forward.
Wow.
And Clarksville was able to beat them. Dedrick Lee had 35 points. So it's kind of depends on which Clarksville team shows up and if they're hitting shots. Yeah, if they're hitting shots, they're able to beat about anybody. They were able to take out Gadsden City, and then in their final game, the 5th place game against Fayetteville 6'10" center Tyler McCullough, who actually is going to play basketball at Missouri State, just a little too much, and Clarksville fell 54-47, obviously more of a Fayetteville-style game than Clarksville's. They want to get up and down. It didn't help that there's a bunch of sick players and a bunch of stuff going around there for Clarksville, but I heard an interesting story from this game. Well, not from this game, but from the tournament. One of my youth kids plays for Clarksville, and not only were they all sick, but they all had to eat McDonald's about every meal because that was the only thing close to their hotel. And on Friday night, it was Thursday night on Thanksgiving night, they went to McDonald's after their first game, and when they walk up to the door, there's they can see that there's a fight going on the inside. They walk up, they get off the bus, they're all going up there as a team. Some dude comes running out pointing a gun I mean, this is what they had to deal with this weekend in Forest City. They were scared for their lives, that they had a gun pointed at them right there in Forest City, Arkansas. So, interesting weekend, to say the least, for the Panthers.
It was interesting. Certainly having a gun waved around near you, that's nothing to sneeze at. But just from a basketball standpoint, this is high school ball. It's not like the BCS where you lose a game or two. It's crucial as far as your championship implications. You play games this time of year to get better. You play games this time of year to see where you're at, see where you need to go. It has nothing to do with what you do in conference play, what you do in the conference tournament. On 5A, do they have a tournament?
A conference tournament?
Yeah, like they have the 4A, had the 4A.
I don't think they
tournament.
do.
5A, I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
So they'll go right to state from conference like some of the other bigger schools. So this has nothing to do with that. Clarksville's in great shape as far as I'm concerned.
We'll look more at the breakdowns of that later on. I'd love to sit here and talk Clarksville all day, but we'll move on.
Would.
The Dardanelle Sand Lizards are 2-0. Congratulations to them early on in the season. Russell Sturdivant, the coach, has sent us in some stats and scores from them, and we'll continue to keep up with the Sand Lizards. They won 54-24 over Paris, just a beatdown, although Paris does have its football players out who are in the state semifinals, so nonetheless, it's a good win for the Sand Lizards. And if these guys are going to turn out to be anything like their coach, they're going to be tough. They're going to be very good defensive-minded guys, very fundamentally sound, and they're all going to be able to shoot the lights out if they've got anything in them like their coach does. I know Russell Sturdivant from back in his days at Ozark, played against him growing up, and he could shoot it. He was very fundamentally sound. I'm sure he'll coach up the Sand Lizards to do the exact same.
Yeah, I remember you talking about him last year as far as really teaching shooting
I hated
drills.
playing against that dude.
Great shooter in his own right, and probably going to teach those shooting fundamentals to his team. And you kind of look at the personalities. Football team, basketball team, sort of a reflection of each other as far as the toughness they play with, being sound defensively, being able to shoot the ball. So I look forward to seeing what Dardanelle does this year.
And I mean this in all respect. And just go watch the Dardanelle Sand Lizards basketball team, and you'll see the coaching kind of sneaking in as they're, like you said, they're very physical. Russell Sturdivant is one of those guys who you're playing him in a pickup game, and you're liable to catch one of these in the rib, just a little chicken wing right in the rib, and you'll watch. Dardanelle they're going to take on, and this is one of the best marks of a good coach, when you take on the personality of your coach, and you'll do whatever it takes, diving for loose balls, very physical, tough basketball, not taking hard fouls, things like that. That's what Dardanelle's going to be. That's who they're going to be. And I look forward to watching them play some this year, as Russell Sturdivant will have them coached up. We're going to go to break, but real quickly before we do, Arkansas Tech having a little trouble early on in the season, but have no fear, Wonder Boys and Golden Suns fans. When they play these tough teams early on in the year, last year they went to Texas A&M. They'll play all these tough teams. It'll get them prepared for the GAC. They'll be all right. So don't look at the scores and think, oh, well, they're just not any good. They're playing some really good teams, and nationally ranked teams even in the Division II ranks and even higher. So pay attention to the Dardanelle. I was looking at the screen here again. Pay attention to the Wonder Boys and Golden Suns, and understand that when the GAC rolls around, they're going to be prepared to defend Tucker Coliseum, to defend their GAC championships, and they're going to be good. So don't worry about bailing out on the Golden Suns and Wonder Boys already. We're going to go to break. When we come back, Arkansas Razorback news. We're thankful for Tyler Wilson and those guys. Also thankful that this train wreck of a season's over.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval with Arkansas's first Rack Furniture Warehouse, where we have the largest selection of recliners and mattresses in the state of Arkansas. Come visit us at 2609 East Parkway, the Rack Furniture Warehouse.
Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval again at Arkansas's first rack furniture warehouse, where Leon and I are back in business. We have gallery selection at quality warehouse prices here at the Rack Furniture Warehouse, 2609 East Parkway, Russellville.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Oh, we just got another topic to talk about here in just a little bit. It's the Hog basketball team. We'll hit it here in just a little bit, but we'll look at the Honda of Russellville Hog Talk segment real quickly. We got coaching stuff to talk about here in just a little bit, but we need to look real quickly at the football game that took place on Friday, as the Razorbacks not able to overcome LSU, even though they played in Fayetteville for the first time since 1992, even though Maddie was there screaming his head off and doing his hog call. And Maddie, you don't have your microphone hooked up, do you? Darn, I was going to have him.
We don't get to hear from Maddie.
Tell us about how his experience was the first time to ever go to a hog game. Well, they weren't able to overcome all those things and beat number 7 LSU. It was 20-13. Well, because some of the things that we worried about reared their ugly heads, but Arkansas has got to be able to hold their heads high after a really good performance against a quality opponent.
Absolutely, Mark. And I'm a little conflicted because I think a lot of fans are, did Arkansas play a pretty good football game Saturday, or is Les Miles so inept that he couldn't figure out a way for his superior team to hammer that game down? I think it's a little bit of both. I think Arkansas, while we were still careless with the football. We turned it over. That's typical us. I thought defensively we did a good job. We did a pretty decent job with the run until we got worn down a little bit. You saw an inspired Razorback football team on senior day. One last effort, try to win one for the Gipper, also known as Mr. John L. Smith. Didn't quite get the job done, but it was really just a microcosm of the season. Arkansas had some great high points. And then you saw some low points with turnovers and other issues as well. But I'm looking at this from a program standpoint as we sort of close the chapter on this 2012 Razorback season. I know the national championship hopes were not met. I'm going to tell you right now, hoping for a national championship with this roster was crazy. It just was. I'm sorry. When you look at the talent we actually had on both sides of the ball, it just wasn't going to happen. Now, I understand people saying, well, we could have had an 8, maybe a 9-win season. Maybe. If I'm generous, I'll give you that. But my point is, Mark, while we look at how things could have been so much better, I look at how this program could have been a lot worse and this season could have been a lot worse. And I want to take the time to talk about John L. Smith. And all the criticism that we've levied against him has been accurate. It's been on point. I'm not taking it back one bit. But I'll see a guy in John L. Smith who could have very easily, week after week, pointed fingers, called out his coaches, pointed out players. This Arkansas program could have looked a lot messier than it did. I think the damage mark for this team is that we didn't get it done on the field, but as far as the program and how we do business professionally, all of that is intact, and I think that's very important and attractive as we move forward to the coaching search.
You know, I will – John L. Smith, we made fun of him as much as we could.
And he deserved
it. He definitely did deserve it, but he was in a pretty bad situation. And the fact is, the guys just didn't play as well as we would have hoped. They weren't coached as well as we would have hoped, but they didn't play as well as we would have hoped. So I'll just move on, and I'll just take a different avenue here and just say I'm thankful. You know, it's the Thanksgiving season.
Right.
I'm thankful for being able to watch Tyler Wilson play the way he has for the last couple of years, and hopefully he'll do a good job in the NFL. I'm thankful that I got to watch 4 years of Kobe Hamilton and Dennis Johnson playing the way they did, setting records for the Razorbacks. Dennis Johnson, I guess, the all-time all-purpose yardage leader. I think he was up there in the SEC overall, but he was definitely Arkansas's all-time leader. And then Kobe Hamilton, Arkansas's all-time leader in catches and yards, right?
Yeah, did he pass Darius? I know he was.
I know he passed Darius for catches.
Okay.
I think he passed him for yards as well. I don't have to make sure. He had 1,300 yards this year.
Big
so
time.
Just an incredible season from Kobe Hamilton. So there were some positives to this. I can't say anything positive about anybody on defense except for the young guys. It was very disappointing to see certain guys, namely 5-star recruits who came in and did nothing in 4 years.
They play in the secondary.
But I don't want to name any names. I look forward to seeing guys like Tevin Mitchell later on in his career, Hines. I really like what he's done as a freshman.
Yeah.
I love the Peters when he and AJ Turner put on man weight and don't look like junior high girls out there playing the linebacker core. They're going to be very good. So I'm just thankful that I've been able to witness some good Arkansas football, and it really makes me appreciate that a little more after watching this season.
I agree with you, Mark. I just think the program really is in good shape. You know, one of the conversations that a lot of people had prior to this season was, well, what if the year goes south? What if things are terrible? Will the Arkansas job be less attractive? Remember, we're coming off of an 11-2 Cotton Bowl season against a Kansas State team that this year was in the national championship picture. You know, what if Arkansas goes 4-8? Is the job going to be less attractive? And, Mark, I'm proud to say right now that even though Arkansas did go 4-8, the program is attractive. I don't think there's any deep-rooted concerns. If I'm a Gary Patterson or Mike Gundy or somebody, I'm not looking at Arkansas saying, man, that program's got some problems, some deep-rooted issues. I don't know about that. I still think it's just as attractive as it was after that Cotton Bowl year. No good coach, no real coach is going to take a 4-8 isolated season and say you can't win here. That's not the case. And I am very thankful and proud that this program has survived that.
Yeah, you know, there are some built-in disadvantages, but there are some advantages as well.
Right.
You know, here at Arkansas, and I've seen some of the national guys and some of the regional guys talk about rating the jobs that are available.
Yeah,
Auburn fired Gene Chizik the other day. Derek Dooley's out at Tennessee. NC State's fired their coach. Kentucky's fired their coach. There are lots of jobs open in this area. So you see, you know, Cal fired its coach. We've got several jobs that are open. Where does Arkansas stack up in there? You've got some drawbacks. Yes, the smaller recruiting area. You're in the SEC. You're going against the Alabamas of the world, LSU, Florida, and then you go into Texas and you got Texas A&M, who's now in the SEC. There's different disadvantages, but there are a lot of advantages as well. Arkansas, to answer the call, has built up some nice facilities. They've got the new football operations facility. You've got some great coaches. You know, if you're to come in here as a football coach, you're going to join Mike Anderson and Van Horn as two of the, you know, to form one of the best three coaches in all of the country. So you're going to have some facilities. You're going to get paid well. We know that. You've got different boosters that are able to provide the you need to make things happen. You know, ugly or not, there are different things that boosters can do behind the scenes to make things go a little more smooth. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything or
we don't want to give anything away
or say that Arkansas cheats by any means. But you've got Tyson, you've got Walmart, you've got JB Hunt, all these different places that can pump money into the university. Coaches, they're not necessarily in the worst spot if they choose to come to Arkansas.
Not at all. I think you have to look at Arkansas, and this is why I look at coaching searches the way I do, and it's all about profiling. If you watch the TV show Criminal Minds, I think you'll understand where I'm going.
Love that show.
It's all about the profile. What you need to win at Arkansas, what characteristics do you have to have? There are some big-name coaches floating around there that I think would flat-out fall on their face at Arkansas. That's nothing against the program. That's nothing against them. It's just they're not the right fit. At Arkansas, you have a place, and you touched on it, with tremendous resources, tremendous finances, tremendous facilities. You have a fan base and a backing that wants to win. They want to do everything they can to invest in winning. They can't help the fact that they may not have the players around to win, but they want to give you everything else to try to win. And if a coach can work around the players aspect, you can do things at Arkansas.
We're going to look at that here in just a moment. When we come back from break, we're going to look at some names that have been thrown out there. We're going to refute some of them. We're going to continue to refute some other ones. We're going to look at some drawbacks and some positives, and then we'll just give you some things to chew on before you make your decision on who you think the next Hog coach will be. We've got a lot left. Very interesting stuff, so stay with us.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
It doesn't matter what you're looking for, chances are Good Deal Charlie Discount Furniture has it. From living room, bedroom, and dining furniture to one-of-a-kind pieces, Good Deal Charlie has everything. The staff is pleasant and always friendly, so you'll feel no pressure to buy. With new and used furniture for your home or office, you can find everything you need at the best possible prices at 2209 East Main Street in Russellville. Good Deal Charlie.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
All right, it's time for what you've all been waiting for on Honda of Russellville Hog Talk. We're looking at the coaching search and the carousel that is about to take place in college football. One interesting thing to pay attention to is who goes first. You know, who gets the first coach, because a lot of it will have to do with who goes first and how quickly your team gets in there and makes decisions. Auburn's fired Gene Chizik. Looks like they're going to be trying to make their decision within the next week. And Arkansas said 10 to 14 days. I would hope that since April, knowing that you've got all this coaching search time, that Jeff Long has got some names and got some numbers, figures, talks with some of these folks, and that he's got different people in play and contingencies on contingencies. But we've heard a lot of names, Weldon. Let's throw some of them out there, and even the most ridiculous ones like John Gruden.
Right.
And let's talk about which coaches are and are not in the mix.
Yeah, I think that's important to discuss. And before we get to that, I thought you made a huge point about Arkansas is not the only job out there. Arkansas is not the only place making runs at coaches. Worst case scenario for Jeff Long is if the Auburn domino falls, Tennessee domino falls, Gary Patterson and whoever else, Mike Gundy, anybody else on our list goes to those places, and we're left holding the bag. And we've been in position since April. They just fired their coaches. But Mark, the coaching list, it has gotten to be, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's out there.
Yeah.
The most out there name, of course, is Mr. John Gruden, former Super Bowl winning coach with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, current Monday Night Football analyst. And the theme of the show, what we're talking about today, is drawbacks for the candidates. I like Gruden. I think he's a sun-up to sundown football, hard-nosed guy. He eats, sleeps, and breathes the game. But I think that could be a problem. Because what happens when Arkansas is playing Alabama? John Gruden's the head coach. 5 o'clock in the morning, ring, ring. Hey, Brandon Allen, we got to watch Nick Saban's Blitz package. We got them coming up this week. Coach, I got chemistry lab and I got a test. Yeah, chemistry lab? You don't have time for that. We got to watch Nick Saban's Blitz package. Coach, I'm homesick. I'm far away from home. Far away from home? What are you talking about? I just think there's a chance that John Gruden is a football guy only, not a father figure. I'm not saying he's a bad father, but not looking over kids and test scores and compliance issues. And I know they have people to do that, but still the buck stops with you. I think there's a chance that Gruden's too much of a football guy.
And there's also that, I've never been out on the college recruiting field.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't know the tricks of the trade. I don't know how, when I go in and say one thing, there's going to be another coach like a Nick Saban who can go in there and tell everybody, I know what he told you, and we're going to do this. He doesn't know the game that goes with it. We don't know if he knows the game. Let's put it that
Presumably,
way.
Presumably.
We know that John Gruden would be a good coach, and somewhere he's going to be a good coach. I just feel like it's going to be in the NFL ranks unless Tennessee makes him an offer he can't refuse.
I agree.
I really think that's it. If they make him a $7 million a year offer, and he just feels like he can't refuse. Now, I've seen some other things that say that John Gruden, if he were to take that job, the Monday Night Football crew would be upset because apparently he has reaffirmed his intention to stay with Monday Night Football. So I never thought that John Gruden was going to be I would be happy with him because I'd like to see that name up against, the Nick Sabans of the world, and you have to have something like that if you're at Arkansas to recruit real well at the beginning. I know you can coach up guys like Bobby Petrino did, but I'd love to have John Gruden, but I just never thought that he was going to be the guy. Now, there are a lot of shows, and you'll have to be very savvy fans and understand and discern what you need to believe when you listen to some other shows and they tell you it is this. I'm here to tell you right now on the Sports Blitz, Monday, November the 26th, nobody really knows anything, okay? If Jeff Long hasn't told somebody specifically, if somebody can't come out and say, Jeff Long told me, then you don't believe it. It's not going to be John Gruden for $6.1 million a year for 5 years. That's not happening. And if it were to happen, nobody knew it. They just took a wild guess. I'm just telling you. And if they got it right with as far as numbers, I would say that I believe that their sources were right. I just don't think anybody has the types of sources to know anything right now. Yeah. We heard another media member this past month say that Gary Patterson was the guy that he believed would be the next coach. I sort of lean that way. I thought if anybody made sense as far as, well, he can come make more money, be in a better conference, have a chance to do something special, cement his career legacy, Gary Patterson would be a good guy. I will say, Weldon, that I didn't believe Chris Peterson, and now there's some legs to that as far as Chris Peterson coming to coach the Hogs. My thought with him, though, and the reason that I said in the beginning there's no way, is because when you turn down some of the jobs that he has over the past several years. I mean, we can look at some of the names or some of the coaching jobs that he's been linked to. Well, Notre Dame, Florida, at one time or another, USC. I mean, there's some big jobs that Chris Peterson's been linked to. I find it very hard to believe that you would say, no, you know what, I don't want to go to USC. I don't want to talk to Florida. I don't want to talk to Notre Dame, but I'll go to Arkansas. That just doesn't make sense to me, and I love Arkansas.
And the only way that could happen is if something changed with the circumstances at Boise State. It just hasn't. I mean, they're rebuilding. They lost a lot of talent off last year's team. They're rebuilding. That's not like anything has happened to the program. They're just rebuilding. So nothing has changed. Everything's been status quo with Chris Peterson. So I agree with your sentiment. And, of course, you mentioned Gary Patterson, and we're talking about drawbacks, counter arguments. It was hard for me with Gary Patterson because, I'm a big fan of his, but the questions have been brought up about his ability to recruit and do it in a big conference.
Yeah.
Now, he's in the Big 12 now, year one, considering he lost his quarterback to some off-field issues. He's done a pretty good job, beat Texas on the road Thanksgiving night. But people look at it and they say, you're right in the Metroplex. You haven't recruited that great. Now, part of it has to do with being at TCU and not Arkansas. Arkansas is different as far as facilities and opportunities. Can Gary Patterson go to the SEC, not the Mountain West, not the WAC, not even the Big 12 to a degree? Can he come to the SEC with Arkansas and not just compete against Oklahoma State and the overrated annually Oklahoma team, but Nick Saban in Alabama? Les Miles in LSU, Will Muschamp, now Kevin Sumlin at Texas A&M. Can he come to the SEC and do that, and can he have those same results? That's the question with Gary Patterson.
That is the, $1 million question, or
maybe a few $1 million.
Depends on which game show you're playing and what year you're playing it in.
Right.
Man, we could throw out 100 names, and I'm just going to throw out a bunch of them to you right now.
A few.
You've got John Gruden. I'm shaking my head. It's not going to happen. Gary Patterson, Chris Peterson, Kirby Smart, Butch Jones, Butch Davis, Bo Pelini, James Franklin, and Charlie Strong, all names that we've heard over the last couple weeks. Weldon, if you had to say which name was most likely and which name is least likely, leaving off Gruden because that's not going to happen, who would you say of those names are most and least likely to be at Arkansas?
I don't think Butch Davis gets the job. I know he has obviously ties to Arkansas, and I know he's done some good things, but I don't think he's the guy. Most likely, it's hard to say. I mean, look, we've never perpetrated as people who knew exactly what was going to happen. All we do is throw out information. I do want to do a quick run through, and I'll just list some names of as far as guys and why I think they may not be the guy for Arkansas. Kirby Smart, I worry about him being like Nick Holt when Nick Holt left Pete Carroll to go be on his own under Sarkisian and Washington fell on his face. I think Smart can be a good coach, but not sure about Arkansas. James Franklin, too much of an underdog, the old saying, we may not be the best, but we'll give you our best. That's not what Arkansas wants as far as expectations. Butch Davis, I've always said you can't recruit your way to winning at Arkansas. Butch Davis can be a good recruiter. I don't care how great you are at recruiting. You can't do that at Arkansas. I think you have to be a teacher and a builder. Not sure he's quite that guy. I think he's more of a recruiter. That's just sort of my quick rundown on some of the popular names.
And be careful, Butch Davis fans. He did some good recruiting at North Carolina. It also got them in a little bit of trouble with guys like John Blake, who followed him around and was his ace recruiter. They put some guys in the league, but they also put some guys on the sideline.
Put some guys in the league, and did they ever win at an elite level? Yeah, you took North Carolina places they've never been in football or rarely been in football, but still, you're at Arkansas. Our fan base, you can say we're spoiled or whatever you want to say. We want to win 9+ games a year. That may be possible. That may be out of the realm of reality, but that's what we expect coming up from the Petrino era. And 8-4 over and over, that's going to get you fired at Arkansas. It just is.
It's true. Looking at a couple comments that we've had here, Robert Ash, got to congratulate your Florida Gators. Doing a good job. And number 3 in the country, number 4 in the country
Number 4 in the country.
They'll be number 3. Probably playing in the in a BCS game, probably in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah. He says, factor in that Gary Patterson also gave a commitment to TCU to stay if they upgraded the facilities, which they did. He says, plus his wife loves Fort Worth and is entrenched there with them building a home there.
Yeah, I heard that.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
People, they leave jobs for better jobs. And if you think TCU, if you think Arkansas is a better job than TCU, then you could leave. I've heard all the national guys, and like I mentioned a little while ago, even the regional guys debating where Arkansas is on the hierarchy of coaching jobs. it just depends on a coach and what he thinks. Is Boise State a better job than Arkansas? No. I mean, we obviously think that Arkansas is a better job, but that doesn't mean that he'll stay at Boise or come to Arkansas. It's all about what the coach feels. And maybe, Robert's right here, and they're going to stay to their loyalties and stay because of what their word said. But at the same time, they may want a different situation. We just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know. And I mean, Robert, I want to give your Florida Gators some love, but you made a request. Now I'm a little more reluctant, but they were solid. They beat an overrated Florida State team, but had a lot of athletes.
Hey, I will say that both of those teams are better than I thought they were.
They were. Florida State, I don't know. Florida State's about what I thought. I'm going to go Denny Green. Florida State was who I thought they were. Florida's offense, though, I got to give them some credit. This vaunted Florida State defense, Florida, they had their moments against them. Could have had even more. The Burton brothers could have hooked up for a wide open touchdown. That Florida could have done more damage. Never thought I would say that, given how their offenses looked throughout the year against a Florida State defense that was supposed to be elite.
All right, we're going to hit a break real quickly. We've got Arkansas basketball and other things that we need to hit real quick. We haven't talked anything about the NFL so far on the show. We've got plenty left on the show right after this.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville.
AR Sports present the 2012 River Valley Football Magazine, featuring profiles of local high school football teams, as well as college football previews and player spotlights. Professional photography accompanies top-notch writing throughout to bring you the best locally focused publication in Arkansas. You'll enjoy special tributes to local legends Jerry Aiken and Don Sevier, as well as an exclusive interview with Razorback all-time great Clint Sterner in this year's magazine. Available at fine establishments throughout the River Valley. Pick up your copy of River Valley Football Magazine today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
All right, we got to tie a bow on today's show. Last segment here on the Sports Blitz. Thank you for joining us on a Monday. Mark Freeman, Weldon, Braxton in studio. Been talking Arkansas coaching rumors and really the coaching carousel all together as we've got different names popping up all over the country that are definitely going to be the guy, right? That's the that's the thing.
Yeah.
The latest news is that, it's going to be this guy or it's going to be that guy. I've got sources that are saying this and sources that are saying that. So funny stuff, and we'll see how it turns out. I've heard from people who are on the Hill that Jeff Long has determined a 10 to 14 day period, which everybody knows now, but that he's also told recruits not who the coach is going to be. Okay, please don't misunderstand. He's not told them who the coach is going to be, but he said that they're going to be impressed. They're going to like. What's he going to say?
That's a lot.
What's he going to say?
He should say something positive. I'm just thinking, though, that's a lot of pressure. Now you making, because we thought Pete Carroll, John Gruden's out of the realm. I'm starting to think if you're saying that, you better go get Pete Carroll or John Gruden or Bill Belichick. Now, if you're gonna heap these expectations on you, I know you want to keep people excited and engaged and staying with you, but Lord, you keep putting these proclamations about how great the coach you're gonna hire. You better deliver. You can't come with James Franklin now if you're putting all this out there.
Well, see, I don't mind James Franklin as much as some of the names that I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, he's not a home run by any stretch.
Right.
I would take guys like like Gary Patterson any day over him. So we'll see how it turns out. In the next 2 weeks, we'll know who Arkansas's next head coach is going to be. I just hope that Arkansas gets it done before Auburn hires Petrino or something like that, and he just starts tearing into Arkansas for the next 10 years. So I'm hoping that we don't have to. I hope we don't have to deal with that for the next 10 years. One more thing that I think we're going to have to deal with for the next couple months is the Arkansas basketball team being this way and this way and this way and this way. 3-2 so far on the season. Lost both games in Las Vegas. Tough losses as they led Arizona State and they led Wisconsin at the half. Lose by 15 to Arizona State, lose by 7 to Wisconsin. Weldon, we talked about the inconsistency of the team and how we would hope that B.J. Young and Marshawn Powell would be enough. Just so far, it's been the B.J. Young show.
It has. And with this team, Mark, we've said it all along, there are going to be growing pains. Obviously, the football team was frustrating to watch. That doesn't mean you can just put Final Four expectations on the basketball team. They're still young. They have a lot of new pieces. But it was frustrating to watch for me because the adjustment Wisconsin, the Arizona State game, Arkansas they got cold, they jacked up shots, and Arizona State just pulled away. Wisconsin, you saw Arkansas get off to a good start. Wisconsin, we know the style they want to play. A very half-court, very methodical, working the shot clock. Arkansas was having none of that in the first half. Pressure, tempo, turnovers had Wisconsin all out of sorts the way you would expect an Arkansas pressure team to do against a Wisconsin methodical team. But what happened was Wisconsin was able to slow the tempo down. They packed the paint defensively, so that would negate Arkansas's quickness to be able to blow by them, go to the hole, and Arkansas did not adjust. We kept trying to drive the ball into the teeth of a packed defense. When we did kick it out, we wouldn't take our jumpers, and it was just a little bit head-scratching. One thing I think Mike Anderson's going to end up doing, he's going to have to do, is figure out what his rotation is. I know in this system you tend to play a lot of people to keep guys fresh, but whether you're playing up-tempo or half-court basketball, you still have to have a constant rotation of guys being in the flow. You can't pull guys in and out so much. As Coach Anderson learns more about what each of these players can and can't do, I think you'll see the rotation squeeze just a little bit. Some guys will get more minutes, some guys will be cut out a little more, and we'll still have the big numbers to be able to play a lot of guys, but the rotation will be a lot tighter.
Yeah, I was glad when I made my early season prediction. I said it was like 19 or 18-13, something like that. I felt like I might have been underestimating this team, which I'd rather underestimate than overestimate every time. But I said coming into the season that there were certain games that I thought Arkansas was probably not going to win. Looking at the SEC, it's not great. Overall, you've got Kentucky, Florida, and Missouri, who I think are pretty good. Everybody else is beatable. I might have still underestimated the team a little bit, but seeing these two losses kind of makes me think they are who I think they are.
They are, and they're going to show they're going to show flashes. Again, we're not going up to Michigan and winning. I'm sorry. You just put that one to bed. The game against Syracuse, probably unlikely, but again, I never sleep on this Razorback team. When you put them in Bud Walton Arena, I always feel like all bets are off. That includes when Kentucky comes to town, anybody else. But Marshawn Powell, they have got to have more energy and effort from him. He's one of the more talented all-around scorers. Got a lot of athletes, but not a lot of talented, skilled players. He's one of them. He's got to play with more effort, or he's got to sit down.
I've been very, very disappointed with what I've seen from Marshawn Powell. But you play a terrible team, and he'll have 20 and 10. You play a team that can challenge him physically and athletically, and he has 4 points.
Yeah.
He has 5 points. He has 2 points. It's just
–
I've not really liked what I've seen from him so far, although he does average 12 points and 5 rebounds. B.J. Young, 20.5 points, 3 assists, a steal, only half a turnover a game, assist-to-turnover ratio 6-1. So B.J. Young has by far been the best player on this Hog team early on in the season. We look to see them bounce back. They're playing on the 30th against Syracuse. Whew.
That's a big one. And with B.J., talented player, getting it done, he may have to step up and be more of a leader, a sort of leadership role. We're just kind of touching on the Hogs a little bit. I did want to mention in college basketball, a tournament. You got all these Old Spice Classics, Maui, all these tournaments that get attention. The Battle for Atlantis down in the Bahamas, that tournament should have gotten more attention. You had Duke, Louisville, Missouri, and VCU all down there in the Bahamas competing. Duke ends up beating Louisville for that tournament. I thought people should have given that tournament a lot more notice. It certainly beats Rodney Clark and Butler against Illinois and Maui.
Yeah, we're not Rodney Clark fans around here. He did leave Arkansas and high and dry. But
he's
anyway,
balling, though.
He is playing well. And actually, I looked at his numbers. He's about the same as he always was as far as all the numbers. He did hit a game winner that was a heave. And they were talking about it on Around the Horn, or no, it was on ESPN, I think, where they were talking about which is the best play between these two plays. And they said that play by Clark was a horrible play. He just dribbled all over the place and threw one up, and it just happened to go in. He didn't pass it to an open guy. So
Arkansas fan?
Yeah, no, it was a national guy. But anyway, yeah, the basketball team, and we'll continue to stay up to date on the latest high school or college basketball throughout the season. I can't wait for March Madness. It's one of my those 2 days are my favorite days in sports. The first days
Thursday
of the
Friday,
NCAA tournament, and we'll pay attention to that. My national champion Louisville did fall to Duke, but they were without their big man Jing.
Yeah, that was a huge loss. Broke his wrist getting that evaluated today. They need him.
Yeah, he'll be back. They'll be a lot better toward the end of the season, so I'm not too worried about that. Your pick does look pretty good, though. Indiana's
they
great.
look good. They got some guys a 9-game suspension, and they look. I'm kind of iffy. I'm liking Louisville. I really like that Louisville pick. I'm tempted to switch, even with Jang hurt. I like Louisville.
We'll see how it all turns out. I'm doing really well with my predictions right now until the Packers just crapped on it yesterday, playing terrible in their game against the Giants. I wasn't real happy with what I saw from the Packers. But looking at the NFL, and actually we need to look. Let's see. Oh, Robert Ash has Louisville winning it all, too. We'll see how, when these brackets come out, old Robert likes to get in our bracket challenges. We'll see how that turns out. I've been a couple of his, too, and I did all right in one of them, did terrible in another one, so I've got to redeem myself this year. Can't wait for that stuff to get here.
Yeah.
Let's look real quickly at the NFL this week. We've previewed some games in Weldon last week. Since the week was so busy, we didn't get to talk a whole lot about the NFL.
No.
But you've got some different interesting storylines that are taking shape in the NFL as well.
I mean, probably the storyline of the whole league is what's going on with the 49ers quarterback situation.
Yep.
Alex Smith misses the game against the Bears. Kaepernick lights it up. Alex Smith is cleared to play, and Kaepernick gets to start anyway on the road at New Orleans, the Thunderdome. He plays pretty well. They win the game, scored 31 points. Remember, the defense scored a couple of those touchdowns. Question is...
thanks, Drew, for the fantasy bump that you gave me there. You threw 5 touchdowns. You just happened to throw 2 of them to the other team.
Yeah, he did. I tell you, this 49er team, and Harbaugh, I don't like his excuse. You know, I love Harbaugh, but his excuse is, well, Alex Smith, he was cleared to play, but he still had some symptoms. No, he wasn't. He was ready to play. He went with Kaepernick. He's not owning it. That's a storyline. Mark our Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. To me, it's not even about the Cowboys as much as RG3. I mean, he is a talent. We think of him as a runner. He's a great passer as well. Made huge plays. But mark our Cowboys still in the playoff race. We're not out of it yet.
What, 2 games out of the division now that the Giants have gone 2 games up after beating the Packers. It was kind of a blow there to the Cowboys that the Giants were able to win last night. I was hoping that the Packers would win, but to me it's just a fleeting hope to root for the Cowboys. It's just like it's punishment. It really is to be a Cowboys fan. It's kind of like being a Hog fan. Those of us that are Cowboys and Hogs fans, we just don't ever get to be happy. We just have to find another team and predict Alabama to win it all. So, you just got to. Yeah, you do have to stick through it. One other thing before we leave today, we've been talking about the Heisman Trophy a little bit and talking college football. If the Heisman Trophy doesn't go to Johnny Football, to Johnny Manziel, I've just decided, and I said before the show, it'll lose all credibility to me. I know he's a freshman. He has by far been the best player in college football this year.
He has been spectacular. Look, Colin Klein was in the mix, but he wasn't flashy, wasn't spectacular. We really didn't want him up there. Once they lost the game, he fell off the map as far as the Heisman goes. Manti Te'o, he is not Charles Woodson, doesn't have the special teams or the offensive highlights. It is Johnny Manziel's Heisman. He's put on a highlight reel. But, Mark, so much we didn't get to today. I want to talk a little more about your Packers and the Giants. SEC Coach of the Year conversation. We got a lot to get to on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, we will have our power rankings, the NFL power rankings, our Wednesday staple, as well as talking a little bit about these games that actually took place on Sunday. It's good, though, that we can talk about the NFL after the final game on Monday night. We'll get to talk a little bit more about the week that was and preview the future of the NFL's next week. I guess week 13 will start this Thursday. So plenty of stuff, like you said, that we didn't get to. We'll be back same time, same click here, 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. For Weldon, I'm Mark. Deuces.
Wake to see your true emancipation is a fan.